So let's talk about electrical things. So this van, almost everything is run on 12 volts. There's a few exceptions, and since we want a really cute fridge in this van, and this van only comes standard 110 volts. For this van's fridge to work all the time, which requires the inverter to be on at all times. So this van is equipped with tons of batteries and powers, and there are 3 different ways that we can charge the van. One is through driving. There's DC-DC charger installed in this van, so when you're driving, you're generating power, you're charging the batteries. Or there's solar panels. You're actually, we can see inside of here, this is our solar charging system. Right now it is doing bulk charging actually, which means there enough sun is constantly charging the batteries. And the third way to charge the battery is directly plug into shore power, which we'll go take a look here in a minute as well. So we labeled here, this inverter needs to be on at all time, and from time to time this will throw out some error code. If something is wrong, you can turn it on and off by stop tapping this button. Just be aware, if the inverter is off, the fridge will be off, and if you have things that easy to go bad in fridge, it won't be a good idea. And if there is something wrong with the inverter or battery system, it would be a good idea to get a cooler. If you have fish or things that easily to go bad, to throw it in there first while we're figuring out what's wrong with the system. And right here, this is a battery monitor. It's going to tell you what's our battery level. We just used this van for camping this past weekend. We haven't plugged it in, we haven't charged it, and it's rainy, so the battery actually went from 100% down to about 70% now in about 3 days. Today's Wednesday. It's about 3 days of constantly using the fridge and not being charged. All the light switches are up here. It's very self-explanatory. All the buttons are labeled. This dimmer for lights, you just need to hold it down. Now you can tell the whole room or van just got lower, and you can turn it up, turn it down. So just by holding that button, we'll be able to change the dimmer, and everything else is labeled. And all the batteries of the van, the inverter, the whole system is actually below this bench in this compartment. We hope that nothing goes wrong during your trip, but if there is something wrong, we may ask you to help us diagnose what is wrong by opening this compartment and tell us what light you're seeing and what is beeping and all that stuff. And there are 2 main breakers for the entire van. It should always be in this downward position. Do not touch it unless something is wrong and we tell you to. These 2 just stay the way it is right here. Every van's shore power configuration is a little different, and this particular van is very easy. We actually converted what we used for a block heater, which is to prevent the battery from getting too cold in the winter. We reconfigured it, and this is also shore power. So when you get to a camp spot where you can plug in directly to the campsite provided electricity, you can just do an extension cord, which we do include in the back of the van, connect it, and you can plug right in. That will charge the battery while you're sleeping. This van is also equipped with a diesel heater, which what that means is there's a heater installed, and the way it's powered is actually through your diesel fuel tank. Be aware what your fuel level is when you want to run your heater all night long. So this is where the hot air comes in. Make sure when you're sleeping nothing is blocking here so the air can flow back to the van. And let's go take a look at the control. So to control the heater is right here. The heater is not always on. There is a heater timer here. To turn it on, you just need to tap the middle button to wake it up. Right now you can see it's 61 degrees and it's off. So we need to just rotate this. What I did was rotate this, and you can see now it's just the fan option and the setting. We don't want any of those. We want to go back to this heater symbol that has heat coming off. Once you get to this option blinking, tap the middle again, and this is the temperature you want to set it in. So last time I used it, I set it at 75 degrees. So I'm just gonna say, and if you want to adjust it, just turn this bezel around to adjust the temperature. Let's just say we're gonna do 75 degrees again. You tap again. Now this is a part that you can set a timer. Personally, I like to set it for an hour, 2 hours before I go to bed, so the van is really nice and warm for me to fall asleep, and then it will turn off. Then the next morning I'll get up and turn it on for another hour while I'm doing my morning routine. Let's just say I'm doing it for 90 minutes and I tap it again, so now you see a red ring around it, which means it is actually working. Let's say that you made a mistake or your children is playing with it, they mess it up, you want to cancel it from this screen. You just need to tap the middle button again, and then it automatically goes to off, and then you just tap the off again, so the whole system will be off. And if you just trying to adjust the setting on the temperature or the time, you can go back to that setting again. So let's go ahead and cancel this off. You tap it and you can see nothing is on anymore, and that red ring, which means the heater was working, now it's gone, so the whole system is off. There are 3 different ways to use the water in this van: water from sink, water from the shower, and there is another outdoor rinse spot in the back of the van, which we will also take a look. There's one water pump that controls all 3 of them. There are actually 2 spots to turn the water pump on. One button is right here on the control panel. Right now the water pump is not on, so there's no water coming out, but water tank is actually full. So we'll go ahead, leave it open, and we'll turn the water pump on, which is right this button, fresh water pump. We just turn it on and we can hear the pump is working and there's water flowing from the faucet already. And the same way goes the shower. Now with the water pump on, the shower would work as well. And you want to spray it and take it off, and then we can turn it on and you can tell it's actually working as well. And for draining the water at those 2 places, there are 2 different ways. If you're using the shower, you need to make sure the shower gray water pump is on, which is the second button. Once it's on, it's going to be loud for a second here. So once you turn it on, you will hear water is continually being sucked down through that hole that we saw in the shower, pump into the gray water tank, which is in the back of the van. We'll take a look at as well. If you're taking a shower, make sure both of these are on. The water pump is on and the gray water pump is also on. And like I said, if you want to park your van tilted to the water flow direction, that will really help with the wastewater. So we'll turn it on. And you can hear it is on. And we'll turn the water on, and you can see the water pump is constantly working to drain the water. Because the gray water pump is really loud when you're not using it, just to make sure this button is off. Here is the back of the van water pump that I was talking about. This is another way if you forgot the water pump is on. Instead of walking all the way around the van to the inside, you can also turn the water pump from here as well. This is a 3-way switch. Okay. And we do include a shower hose right in this pocket. If you need to rinse something off after hiking, your boots are dirty, you just take it and line it up, this metal part facing up, and it goes right. You'll hear a click and it goes right in. When we give the van to you, it already has a full tank of water. During your trip, if you run out of water, you will be able to find a garden hose, twist the white part counterclockwise to secure it. The water is on, but obviously there's nothing coming to the tank yet. It is because the valve is closed. You need to make sure this lever is facing upwards when you're filling the water. So just switch this on. Now you can hear the water is flowing. Now with the main water line is shut off and that gold lever is facing up position, we're ready to remove the hose. If you see water is continually pouring out, that means that gold lever is not in the right position. So now we can go ahead and close this to protect any dust from getting in. On the left side of the van, there's the gray water tank. The other side is the fresh one. To drain the gray water tank is very easy. You just need to find a location where you're allowed to drain gray water, unscrew this black cap, and water will start flowing from here. Really just the shower water. It's not black water. There's no black water tank in this van. There's no water pump to pump this out. Be sure to park at a location where the van is slightly tilted with the side lower so the water can come out easier. This is a fresh water gauge. It is not super accurate, but it does give you a good idea in general where the water level is, and it's only for the fresh water. It is on a remote, so it's sitting on empty right now, but obviously the tank is full. So to see where it is at, you just need to turn this button on. Now it's bedtime and we're ready to turn this dinette mode into a bed mode. There are 2 levelers right below the table here. Number 1 is if you need to move the table around for easier access, you can just lose the top one. That actually will enable you to turn the table around. If you want to slide someone a little bit bigger in, you can turn this way, and then as they get into the van, you can straighten it out. But be careful if the top leveler is not locked. There's actually room for this to go down. Just really be careful with the stability. But when we're really ready to put this down at night, open both leveler, and then it takes a little bit of a maneuver, but it does go down. Now the table is all the way lower. There are two edges here that keeps the table from moving around. Once it's all the way lowered, if you have another person or by yourself, make sure you lock these two levelers so the table stays where it needs to be. Now it's very stable, it's not going to go anywhere. There's this extra piece of wood to connect the missing piece. We store this one in the closet. So take that out and then you can just rest this on here. Now it is in a bed mode. We do have sheets and blankets and pillows in the closet. Above the dining table, there's an AC unit. This draws a lot of power, so our recommendation is only use it when you're plugged into shore power or when the van is driving. So one really good way that I have personally figured out to conserve fuel when you're driving in hot days is instead of using the AC that comes with the van, when you're driving, just turn this AC on. It will actually cool down the entire van. Here's how we swivel the seat back. If you look below the seat here, there's a tab. Gently lift the tab and then you will be able to start moving the seat. It does take some maneuver, so once you hit to a point you can't turn anymore, that means something is stuck. In this case, it's actually up here. The seat is too backwards. The door is stopping it. So in this case, we'll just scoot the seat forward a little bit more. So scoot the seat forward, you tap this and move the chair forward, and let's move this forward as well to make sure we're avoiding this, and then you can go back to keep turning. If you're too far from where you need to be, you can lift and scoot up, and with the table up, it's really comfortable to either do some work here or you can cook a meal or eat here enjoying the view.